Yeah, it will. It schemes.
You can just, I will tell you, you can just click around, sir, whichever you want, you can just. So you can see the picture. You want to come out? This one, you want it? Yes. No, when you press it, which one? The green. Green. Fine. Good afternoon to everyone. At the outset, I thank the organizers, Mr. Selvam and Mr. Muthukumar and Mr. Jagan. They all have approached me. It's a great pleasure. உங்க கூட எல்லாரும் இருந்து நம்ம எல்லாம் தமிழர்களாக சேர்ந்து இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஃபோரம் உருவாக்கி நம்ம என்ன கண்ட்ரிபியூட் பண்ணலாங்கிறத பேசுகிறது தான் இங்கே குழுமி இருக்கிறோம். ஸோ டுடே ஐ வில் பி டாக்கிங் அபவுட் ஆன் சஸ்டைனபிள் ப்ளூ எக்கானமி, நீல பொருளாதாரம் பற்றி பேசுகிறதுக்காக நான் இங்கே வந்திருக்கேன். கடல், நம்மளை சுற்றி கடல் இருக்குது. இன்றைக்கி கடல் இல்லைன்னா நம்மளுடைய டெம்பரேச்சர் 75-80 டிகிரி ஆயிருக்கும். The living organisms would not have existed. The air what we breathe and the water what we drink and the temperature what we live in, this all come from the ocean. And on the commercial aspects, we know very well, indirectly or directly, the ocean is contributing it to us by transport sector. For example, 90%, 95% of the product what you use at domestic for any other application that comes through the sea. You all know about fishing and tourism and many other sectors this ocean is supporting us. And about 70% of the earth is covered by the ocean. So that is an importance. So where are we heading? What is happening? That is what is, and if you talk about climate change, the previous speaker spoke very nicely about that. Why do you bother about climate change? What happens to the temperature you live in? One component of the ocean is that it absorbs, the phytoplankton living, the tiny plankton absorbs the carbon dioxide. If that process is reduced, that's what one side we call it as a ocean acidification, wherein the pH level drops down. Then the living organisms get disturbed. There are more changes which to happen over there. So keeping all this in mind, and one side you have to look at the economy part of it. Every country is working towards blue economy. India has got a draft blue economy policy which has been evolved, which is a multi-institutional program. And we know very well that there are resources like living and non-living resources to be exploited or used. Yesterday I was in Delhi attending an international conference on ocean policy, law and sea, where World Maritime University, experts from abroad, they all have come. Discussion was about minerals. You know very well at 5,000 meter water depth, you have manganese and cobalt, nickel in the form of nodules. India has got exclusively rights because outside the east that it belongs to the common territory, we have to apply and get it. India is proud to have our own area, 75,000 square kilometers, allotted in Indian Ocean. But can we exploit? If you exploit, what happens to the environment? Are we prepared to the environment impact assessment towards that? So one side, the US administration has launched it very recently in April. So there is a need for it, but the other side is environmental part of it. We need to look at it. So that is what this discussion is all about on sustainability. Look at it, how best what we can leave it for the future generation, the days to come. Sorry. Here in this component, the World Bank report says that 7th largest economy will come from the ocean. And there are various sectors which need to be looked into that. If you look at for our own sector, we have offshore wind energy. And 2 sites have been identified, one in Ramanathapuram and another one is Jakhau in Gujarat. The experimental work is being undertaken over there. The days come, there could be more offshore wind energy plants to be established over there. Then we talk about fishing. The resources in the coastal waters are depleting. The day by day, the deep sea fishes are being evolved. Last week, there was an regional symposium. I was part of the discussion over there. Wherein, how do you equip that? How do you educate these people and how do you ensure that there is a sustainability over there? There is also a carbon footprinting coming over there. So there's a big challenge. The measures have been properly brought in. We have a proper ban. We have our own management techniques adopted to that. Will that technique what we are adopting is sufficient enough? Is not so, or what course of action to be done? There comes the role of science. The science gives us 2 parts. One is to question, another one is to take a management decision in the case of policy. So these 2 aspects need to look at it in a broader perspective when you talk about sustainable development. Then what are the different sectors? The first is on about tourism. Ecotourism and coastal tourism is really picking up. There are more and more efforts are being done. And how do you ensure that educate the people? It's not, earlier the tourism was only for the entertainment purpose alone. The ecotourism or the sustainable tourism talks about educating them, making them to get involved so that we have the sustainability factor get into that. Next, when you talk about energy, we have different type of energy, wind, wave, and there are a lot of work is being done by National Institute of Ocean Technology on ocean thermal energy conversion and also desalination. You know very well that Chennai is having a 2 desalination plant, and NAOT located in Chennai, we have got desalination plant established in Lakshadweep producing fresh water on a different principle called low temperature thermal distillation process, wherein we know very well water boils at 100 degrees centigrade at 1 bar pressure. If you reduce the pressure, we all engineers know that the water can be vaporized. So this is what we have done in NAOT. The plant what is running is a 20 millibar vacuum chamber, wherein the seawater is pumped in, it gets vaporized. How do you condense that? That's what in the nature and 500 meter depth at half a kilometer distance in Lakshadweep, we have cold water, which is 15-16 degrees centigrade. This delta T is sufficient enough to produce fresh water. This plant is working. I'm proud to say that 20 years this has been working just with the 3 pumps, surface water pump, subsurface, or the cold water pump we call it, and a vacuum pump. So these technologies cannot be bought out from others. It is to be made by us. We have to do ourselves. This is beyond success story what we can say. So this is another way of looking at sustainability, because those islanders living in Lakshadweep, we were getting only the rainwater stored and distributed in their home. I've seen it many times. Now they are able to get fresh water. That's what technology is all about. Today what we are here in the chamber like this is mainly because of the technology which is brought into us. The same technology is affecting our living, or the sustainability part is questioning. The answer has to come from the technology alone. So there are other sectors like port. There are a lot of efforts being done in the Sagarmala project. The ports are getting connected. Connectivity is improving. There is also another big program on today what we are talking is mainly because of underwater telecommunication cable. I am also part of 3 United Nations body, ITU, UNESCO and WMO. We discuss about how do you attach sensor to this cable. You'll be surprised to know that there are 10 lakh kilometer worth of cable is lying around. What we are talking today is mainly because of this telecommunication cable. How do you use that? Next, for understanding about the earth, the seabed, and know about that. Then we have disasters. We have coastal disasters like cyclone. You know very well the cyclones are repeating in Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. Bay of Bengal has got 4 times more cyclone than the Arabian Sea, mainly because of the fresh water coming from Ganges and Brahmaputra, that leaving a stratification in the water column. So simple, we have seen in the school that water boils and vaporizes, become cloud and rain come. That's what the school teacher has taught us. It gets complicated in the ocean when you have a stratification like that. That is what is happening in the ocean. We need to look at these aspects in a broader perspective. Next, particularly in Tamil Nadu sector alone, there are more resources. We have 1,000+ kilometer length of, and we have whatever I said, all the activities are possible to be undertaken. There are good efforts being done. I'm part of many other committees here, and a lot of efforts and the ease for the business is happening. Also, there's a good effort by the Department of Environment, and they take many activities which is sustaining and educating people. However, I will touch upon the history part of it. We had our own ports, Kurkai, and we know very well that, next slide I will talk about that. Sorry. This video should run. Thousands of years ago, Solar Kingdom had traveled and captured, I don't know whether this videos. Can you run the video? This video should run. You can see that where they have traveled. I had been to Kadar in Malaysia. How they could travel. We had, sorry, next previous slide. Okay, that video is not running. So that had a track by which they travel all along the case. One scientific paper I always quote that is that there is a very important part in our waters, in Bay of Bengal, is the change in the current. The change is towards south to north and north-south. Reversal takes place nowhere in the world. That's what we always say, the East India coastal current accretion. When you have a structure protruding outside, the Marina Beach is extended mainly because of the port, Chennai port, and the erosion is happening in Ennore. This is unique for us. We need to find solution to that. I'm telling that thousands of years ago, they understood about the wind pattern, what is happening, and the sailing towards the Malacca Strait was towards Burma or Myanmar, Burma, and when they returned back, following northwest and southeast monsoon, they came via Sri Lanka. There is a quote here I would like to say about the float festival. This is a festival by which the young unmarried girls used to wait for this male to return back. This is being happening now. You'll find in Thailand, you'll find in Malaysia, you'll find in Burma, in all this water. There is one connectivity to talk back, and this particular paper talks about that. So we should be proud here to say that we had the technique. There are also like what we call compass. They had a compass of their own. Nanguram, they had their own sailboats which can go to the highways. So we had everything with us. This is what is a gene. I always say that when you go to schools and colleges in the remote area, I spoke about the gene what you have got, the technique and technology what we have evolved. This is one particular thing I would like to quote here is that Kadaloda Kalval Nedunthir Kadalodum Navayam Ora Nilathu. That is very simple to say that that time itself we wrote very clearly is that the ship which is floating cannot come on the earth, and the big car which is the wheel cannot sail onto that. As an engineer, we should be one side is an explanation, talks about what you should wait for an opportunity to talk. That is what philosophically or as an engineer we can interpret in this in something in a different way. He knew about Archimedes principle, something to float. He knew about the circle or rotation, what is happening over there. So we had engineering knowledge in those days to talk about that. When others were nomadic and moving around, we were able to do that. That is what is a pride. We should always talk about that. So this I used to speak when I used to talk to the mariners to say that this particular land, we had all this technique and technology embedded with us. Now coming back to this role of engineers, it could be civil engineering to talk about erosion, that is a big challenge we are facing, or when you talk about sea level rise, that's another big challenge, mainly because of climate change that's happening. There is more amount of oceanographers and ocean engineers that are getting involved in protecting these structures when you talk about the calamities. So the role of engineers are expanding, and there is a need by which all have to contribute towards it. It's multidisciplinary approach is required. It's not that one discipline alone can solve this. So the challenges are more. Of course, the opportunities also do exist. So in sustainable way, how do you proceed and work towards? That is what we are all here. That could be primary, that could be secondary approach in this aspect. Recently, there was a discussion that happened globally. What are the 10 different maritime contributions which the startups can do? These are all listed here. Artificial intelligence, 5G, that's another big challenge. We don't have communication just if you sail out far away. Your mobile communication won't work. Satellite communication has got limitation. Of course, ISRO has brought in certain communication. These things are required for the fishing community when they sail out over there. It's a bit expensive to use different communication. Same thing when you talk about multimodal transport and shipping logistics. Once sail out, the communication is limited over there. Of course, it comes through that. Today we are talking about the advancement of technology, low Earth orbiting satellites or geostation satellite, and many other applications need to come. Even underwater, there is also a communication discussion being happening. One important point to note that above water you have electromagnetic radiation. Underwater it's only acoustic, it works. So there is recently some other country has developed a technique by which this communication is possible from underwater to the surface. If these things are technology development take place, that will be helpful for the society. Now, I would like to again point out here, I also wrote ஒரு தமிழில் ஒரு கட்டுரை இதை பற்றி எழுதியிருந்தேன். நீல பொருளாதாரம் தமிழ்நாடுடைய பற்றி திட்டம்ங்கிறதுல வந்திருக்கு. So what I would like to say that we have challenges, we have opportunity. Let us work towards and use our knowledge, what we have been taught to find a solution and provide these opportunities. And this slide is very important for you to know that we being located in the tropical region, we are blessed with a beautiful ecosystem which others do not have. Anything you call it mangrove ecosystem. Mangroves are the one which are protecting. Many of you from the Annamala University, you know the importance of mangrove ecosystem. Another thing when you talk about mangrove ecosystem, we know very well that carbon is being absorbed by the trees. This has been talked about that. Recently, the study shows that 4 times more the mangrove absorb compared to the plants on the terrestrial side. Mainly because the carbon is taken by the plant, it is stored on the sediment. So the sediment stores more amount of, so when you remove mangrove, even though you replant it, it takes about 10 to 15 years to get back to that condition where it can absorb 4 times more. So that is the importance we have. We have Sundarban system where we have a large ecosystem there. Very close to us in Bay of Bengal, we have coral reef ecosystem, more than 3,000 species living over there. Seagrass, one of the oldest ever plant existed or a living organism is a seagrass. So keeping all this in mind, we need to protect it. That is what the blue economy talks about in a sustainable manner. Keep all these conditions, keep in your mind when you evolve your business plan or develop a activity on the offshore. When you talk about the management, who manages that? Outside the EEZ globally, there is only one convention, we call it, which is a constitution for the ocean, is called UNCLOS, where most of the countries are signatories except US and a few more countries. We are signatory. That has divided the ocean into 6 components, by which the sovereign rights from the land towards the sea is on the exclusive economic zone. All the resources available within the exclusive economic zone, only that is possible for the respective country to exploit. Even a scientific research is not possible for others to come over there. So we have such a beautiful thing. We have 3 million square kilometers of the land area. We have about 2 million square kilometers of the EEZ. The 1/3 comes from the Andaman. In addition to that, we are applying for the extended continental shelf, which will be more than 200 nautical miles. If that comes through, we have the sea area also equivalent to land area. With all these things, the days to come in the future, I'm sure that the blue economy, the efforts as a country, the contribution to the GDP will improve a lot. The government of Tamil Nadu has taken wonderful effort. Tea and Shore is one important project where the coastal protection activities are being undertaken. Many other efforts, the protected areas have been declared, the marshy lands and the Ramsar Convention have been declared. One among them, you must be noticing the blue flag. That's a blue flag beach certification. The beach is given a certification by which the water quality is good enough for you to swim over there. That is being monitored by the independent committee. So these are all few activities, including the database part of it. They are working on it. I'm sure that engineers like us can contribute in an independent manner. I'm sure TTF, with the forum here, can think about it, how best we can support them in their efforts, in their management activity. This is an interesting slide. The population is growing. We were about 5 billion by last century. We crossed 6 billion and 7 billion. Very recently, last year in November, we crossed 8 billion. This is clicking. And the coastal region, about 100 kilometers under distance, about 40% of the population lives. Next slide is on the place in Hawaii where the carbon is being measured over there. It's called Keeler's Cow. Today we have crossed about 400 ppm. Our limit was supposed to be 350. We are nowhere near. This is what we are living for the future generation to come. Another challenge, this is a simple thing about lungs. One part of the lung is green, another one is blue. However, the input of plastics, which is an important material for us to use, is contributing a lot, and these plastics are getting into the ocean. So we can see 60, 70 years before, the plastic did not exist. Now whatever you see, even in the terrestrial, through rivers it reaches a plastic. There is also ocean circulation, surface circulation, and upwelling phenomena that makes the plastics to go and reaches far away. Even in the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the earth, the plastic has reached. You'll be surprised to know that plastic also reached Arctic. I was there in 2014 to install the observatory for India. For that, the team got the President Award also. It's very saddened to say that it has reached such region mainly because of the water. So we need to look at alternate material. That's what industry is asking. Yes, we know very well the plastic has got covalent bond. It doesn't get disintegrated when it degraded when it gets into the ocean. Even in deep waters, nothing happens to that. But what is alternative? Yet to find a solution towards. So we conducted a small program to the PALS, the IIT alumni group of the engineers in the colleges in Tamil Nadu. They have developed a tool by which the rivers bring a lot of plastic to the ocean. Whether we can control from the river getting into the ocean, this was an idea. I'm sure that such ideas are required in the future to come to make sure that the ocean gets cleaner in the days. And these are all some activities like smart coastal cities, eco-friendly fisheries and aquaculture, or blue renewable energy, or marine waste, and also about the tourism part and the community and skill development. I thought these few activities which can be taken forward the days to come. And the group here, the way forward, can think about it, how best the Tamil Nadu can become a hub for the future for the blue economy. Whatever I said, activities will be really helping us to proceed and supporting that. So we always talk about the sustainability part, we always talk about SDG and blue economy. In addition to that, whatever I said, the cultural component, you can take a lead. One of the sustainable cities, Tokyo has got cultural and sustainable part compared to many other cities. I'm sure that this will succeed, and we all will work together to contribute to that. Thank you very much for your patient listening.
Afternoon. So just to introduce myself, I'm from Annamalai University, did my mechanical engineering, did my MBA in human resources, worked in IT field for about 30 years, managing large programs anywhere from information security to risk management to privacy, InfoSec, as well as global operations, and did my PhD recently in marketing. How am I here? Interesting story. Whenever I go to, I do a lot of, I live in the US as well, near San Francisco. Quite a lot of non-profit organizations, including we have Tamil school where within a small city we have about 1,200 kids learning Tamil from us. It's all done for free, with volunteers, not paid by anyone else. Just to let you know, wherever I go, I happen to see some commonality in whatever the presentations I do. A couple of years ago, we had a huge Annamalai University Tech, led by President Dr. Kumar. He asked me to do a fun panel session like this. What did we do in college days? How it was fun. That was the topic. But the speakers ended up becoming all the CEOs of some companies. It was fun today. I happen to know Sounder very well from college days, and just came to know Dr. Venkateshwaran as well is part of Annamalai University. He did some, postgraduate diploma courses. Happened to be now Annamalai alumni meet here. So back in subject, why am I here? Recently, I also run a non-profit organization for kids, which is, the goal of the organization is building good citizens or future citizens, right? Anything that we teach kids, this is what being carried on. So with that, mental health is a worldwide problem now. I started with that, and then there came the sustainability and resource conservation. That's how I ended up talking about here. So let me give a rundown some of the points that I have here much faster because there's limited time. The United Nations, definition of sustainability, if you see it, it's meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Which means, what is our needs? Pretty much we need, basic clean water, healthy food, and housing. But are we just satisfied with that? Maybe not. We are doing much more. So what is life beyond ourselves, right? This brings up all the questions about sustainability. And then, typically I'm not going to read everything, but highlights, I'll talk about it. So some of them, the environment, the way we interact are interconnected and interdependent as well, which normally we would not even notice. So that's why without us knowing, we might be over-consuming a lot of natural resources, which will spoil the future generation. So the UN has about 17 goals on sustainability and conservation. We are not going to talk about all of that, and primarily I'm going to touch upon the clean water and sanitation only. He did about climate conditions. There's ocean, area that we can cover. So resource conservation, the act of preserving and protecting the natural, resources and biodiversity for the benefit of the future generations. The ecosystems are so complex that it consists of, plants, insects, animals, microorganisms that interact with each other. So why resource conservation matters today? Because the rising population. Number one, the amount of resources that we use. With the population increase, we continue to use more. Then this also puts environmental stress. So there's climate change, deforestation, pollution. This is a lot of stress on the current environment. And then there's scarcity because as we use a lot more resources, water could be scarcity that we always know about. There could be scarcity of energy or minerals. The type of resources that we did talk about here today is renewable resources, non-renewable resources, and there are critical resources, which is fresh water as well as soil fertility. Without this, there won't be life on Earth. So consequences of overuse. If we overuse today's resources, what will happen is depletion of the resources. Completely the resources could get depleted in a few years, maybe a couple of decades, right? Then the rising costs. When the unavailability happens, scarcity happens. So pretty much there's rising costs for everything. And then also what happens is the complete ecological imbalance, because they are all interdependent, and once something is not there, the others won't be there. So the complete ecological imbalance will happen. And finally, what we would see is a social conflict. One of the social conflict example is water war, right? There is war for water. Already we saw several years ago, between two different governments in Tamil Nadu, but there is now, international borders, they are fighting for water. So these will continue if you don't conserve now. So the benefits of conservation otherwise reduces the environmental damage, of course saves money and energy, ensures long-term availability. When I say long-term availability, it's beyond our lifetime, right? Which improves the life quality of future generations. The key strategies, how do we do resource conservation? We can reduce, reuse, recycle, and innovate. Reduce meaning, reduce the usage, reduce the wastage. We all know a lot of wastage being done in every aspect. We touch upon a little bit. And then some of them can be reused. When you say something that can be reused, it's as good as saying in one-liner, saying the extending the product's life cycle, right? Then comes the recycle. When it comes to recycle, the same product is being reformed into a similar product or into a different product. So that's what you call it as recycle. Then of course happens the innovation. Without innovation, we won't be able to achieve a lot more, much more efficiently these other strategies. So the real world example is water, where we can see drip irrigation is now better. And then there's rainwater harvesting. We talked about it. Not sure how many of us really follow rainwater harvesting at home or anywhere else. Even today we see a lot of places where it just gets wasted. So there's energy, industry. Industry is now moving towards most of zero waste manufacturing. And then healthcare is another one where you can do a lot more. So in order to achieve the sustainability, right, resource conservations, who can we do them? The participants or the people, those who can do, or the businesses, institutions, they can do it. Individuals, as we can do it, and state and local governments can do it, and then some of the non-profit organizations can do it. So businesses, what do they do now? They already started doing. There is something called business sustainability guides, right? That gives a series of steps for them. So first thing that they do is a sustainability assessment. Based on these factors, they do some assessment, and then they come up with a score of how much they solve, where and all they can improve. Some of them I'll just browse through. I'm not going to go into the detail. So their sustainability goals, what their goals are. Once they do the assessment, they will be able to create a goal. And then carbon footprint, what kind of vehicles they use, waste management, water conservation, and then also transportation, what kind of transportation and logistics they use, where they can improve. And then sustainable procurement. Nowadays, procurement happens a lot, and we don't care, it's all about cost. But the reality, a lot of people in the global environment, people are willing to pay high, or in other words, take less salaries if their costs, their reports, their things are being sustainably procured. Right? Companies, those who do sustainability, that's what they look at it, and they say, well, I'll buy the products from them. So that's how it's a cyclic environment, and they develop a sustainability report. There are accrediting institutions where you can get certifications for that as well. So role of individuals, you and me, what can we do? Conserve water and electricity, choose public transport and carpool to save fossil fuels, and then support the sustainable products as I explained. The final very important part for the individuals are the educate and inspire others. So that piece is missing a lot. I'm going to touch upon some of the real water facts. I'm going to touch only on the water. Today, if you look at it, 2.2 billion people do not have safe water. This is across the world, right? And then about 115 million people are using the surface water, like from river or lakes, for their use. So a lot of people, spend time. They have to go and get the water. So they make about 30-minute trip. So millions do this, and there are some specific facts to it. I'll come back to it. So sanitation is another one, very important one. Access to toilet, safe, healthy environment, which is not there. That affects so many factors. One of them is 3.5 billion, they said, right? They do not have safe toilet. Look at this number, 419 million people, they defecate in the open, even today. That means we are spoiling the natural resources environment a lot. Funny enough, more people have mobile phones than have their safe toilet. So health and hygiene, about more than 1 million people die with lack of safe water to sanitation access. And then 1 million people die out of diarrhea, out of which 2/3 are, could have been prevented given water and sanitation environment. Women, access to safe water and sanitation gives actually empowerment for women to do a lot of things. Women and girls spend about 200 million hours, every day trying to collect water. So, which means this is not the time they spend for the family, taking care of others, going to school, all that. Away from that, it's 200 million hours every single day. So, this allows people to go into education once they have the safe water and sanitation, right? The reduction in time spending to collect water will actually be productive in terms of education. Globally, about 29% of the schools do not have basic drinking water needs. Kids more likely to attend school if they have the good water sanitation at home. Now, for every year girls spend in their schools, the expectation during their adult period that they will be able to gain much more, income by 20%. So economics, there's about every dollar you spend in water and sanitation will give back about $4 economic return from lower health costs as well as the fewer premature deaths. So then we'll skip this. Climate change. The expectation was by 2025, 50% of the world's population is projected to live in water-stressed areas. I'm not sure some of you whether they live in the water-stressed area or not. I do know some areas where my friends live. There's water quantity limitations. If you use more than that, there's penalties, all kinds of things. It's already in place. About 2/3 of the world will face at least 1 month of no water by 2050. That's what they say that. And then the water is the primary ways that we all will feel the climate change. That's the only way we can see that. Finance, let me touch base on one point, where starting from 2016 to 2030, if they want to provide a safe, managed water and sanitation for everyone, the requirement was about 114 billion. Today, the investment is only about 28.5 million. So more than 85 billion, it's not there yet. It's a huge gap. I don't know whether we'll be able to achieve by then. So what you and me as an individual can do and to reduce water consumption for every activity possible. We all know this. We all talked about it at some point in time. I'm not sure how many of us do that still. While brushing in the morning, a lot of people just open the tap and then keep brushing, right? The water keeps going. So there were suggestions about using smaller tumblers and mugs. Not sure how many of us use. That one thing. And then second thing, when people do shave, men, they use the running shave. So they just open the tap and then keep shaving. So much of water being wasted. Like food waste. Food waste is another thing. I mean, forget about how much of food is being wasted in the, industries, restaurants. But at home, we all eat food. We all keep the new, innovation called the refrigerator. I believe everyone will face this. 1 week later, we look at it and say, that's 1 week older. And then we all throw that. Right? There's so much of wastage that we do. There's other things you can reduce. Matching the pot size to the burner will, produce correct amount of heat. You can do that and use stainless steel plates instead of the paper waste that can, save a lot of trees. Reuse, same thing. People live in some places where, for example, in our home, the first few minutes we have to tap it out in order to get the hot water in because the environment is so cold, right? What do we do with all the water? Just waste it. If we can just tap it out, capture it, we can use it for washing plants or any other things we can do. And then rubber products, rubber bands, like zipper ties, twist ties, all that comes there. We do not think about reusing. Very few, right? The rest of them we just throw. So it gets lost of wastages. One thing that I see is in Western countries, we all use paper napkins, paper towels for everything. Instead, we could definitely use reusable fabric, right? Washable fabric that's really useful and saves. Then recycled water. What can we do after rinsing things? Defrost food. Typically we take the defrost. The way we do defrost today is take it out, put it in an oven, click on the defrost. Rather, if you try to do it in a much more better way, defrosting within the refrigerator is much easier. So innovation, definitely a lot of innovation needs to happen. Without that, we can't do much. So let's move on. What is future of the conservation? Technological advancement just will not help unless otherwise there is policy changes as well. So the convergence of technology and policy is the most important factor to overcome this complete, worldwide, immense, complex problem, right? So technological innovations, today there is, data analytics and AI for conservation. Precision conservation, people use drone technology and AI data to even see, even within interior forests, what kind of conservation is happening, what kind of water is, if there is a disease with the plant or not, or the trees, they could figure out that, and a lot of, advancement on that. Policy changes, unless we strengthen the environment regulations, economic incentives, right? We need to give economic incentives for whoever is doing the conservation. At the same time, we have to enforce penalties for people, those who are not doing it. So what can a non-profit organization do? There are citizen science projects in the world. What we can do is we can jump in and do as volunteers, do all kinds of work for the non-profit organizations, trying to collect AI data, analyze and interpret it, right? They can do creating the global awareness of what needs to be done, and of course, educate the future generation. The long-term vision is what we need, a world where human activities are in harmony with nature, where ecosystems are healthy and resilient, and all people have access to clean air, clean water, and healthy environment. Achieving this vision requires, this is what it requires, a fundamental shift in each of us, our values, our behaviors, and our policies. So with that said, I just call to an action from today, everyone, think sustainably in daily choice, act responsibly in resource use, inspire others through awareness and action. My action, as I said, with the nonprofit organization Zeal Kids that I have, I'm planning to go international, create awareness to the kids where they will be doing much better than us in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Muthu Elilan and Dr. R. Venkatesan. Thank you for your content-rich technical presentations. I think, considering the time constraint, probably we'll spend next 10 minutes quickly on the round of fireside chat discussions. Right, probably maybe a couple of questions for each. First one, I think, goes to Professor. Professor, in normal sustainability environment, and the green economy is the general common lingo that is used. And you introduce something new that is blue economy. At least to me, is eye-catching. And then, so is there, what is the correlation between the green economics and the blue economics, and how does the data associated with the blue economics, especially associated with the maritime and the oceans and all that? Would you like to just throw some light on the blue economy?
Looking at the history, what you said is correct. It started with the green economy. And in fact, the United Nations Environment Program, they brought in the blue-green economy. They initially coined that word. Finally, it evolved into blue economy. The idea here is it boils down to economy linked to SDG. So how do you bring the sustainability factor into that so that even though the development is required to be undertaken, whereas we go with the caution that yes, there is a certain amount of other aspect can need to be looked. Otherwise, normally the commerce and the industry looked into that only one part of it and proceed. So this is what is happening in the ocean sector also. For example, fishing sector, you put the target and keep on exploiting the resources. You don't allow the fishes to breed and you don't allow the time to happen. Then there are zones which IUCN has declared as a dark zone. It's not available there. So that should not happen in the future. So this is what I can say in India, every state has got their own 45 days, 60 days ban period. That is helping them. One classic case to talk about sustainability linking to the economy. So this is finally boils down to the policy level. Now, first country to talk about among the small and developing states was Seychelles. Because they thrive on fishery, they thrive on tourism. So they brought out their own blue economy policy, which got implemented. And most of these are through the finance department. So it gets to the GDP and gets linked to that.
Thank you, Professor. So, Dr. Muthu, so you brought in a good concept of the 3 R's, right? So, the reduce, reuse, and recycle. So, I think that is very important to emphasize. Would you like to, elaborate a bit on these 3 R principles?
Sure. Reduce, right? Basically, you can start cutting the wastages, and then usage-wise, you can reduce it. So amount of water that you spend, for example, you can reduce that. And then when it comes to reuse, there's quite a lot of things, we just use once, and then we do not. We stop it, we throw it. Or we think that, every time I need to buy a new one. For example, one-time use things, there's quite a few things that we use there. Instead, we should be able to, for example, bottles that we get, right? All these bottles recyclable. But although it goes into recycle, but we can't reuse that. Instead, now I think some of the Tamil community has started shifting to using older vessels to drink water as well. So where there can be reused. There's no need for that, to throw that and then get another one. Other thing is the recycle. So when you talk about recycle, a lot of things are being used instead of being thrown, then they are put into some form, either to make similar products, or sometimes it goes as a different product that can also be used as a product. So that's why we keep on recycling, and it comes from chemical industries, several platforms to ultimately becomes, waste paper baskets or so. So these are the, type of R's that we can use, but in order to make the R's more efficient, we need the I, which is the innovation part of it.
Right. Dr. Muthu, thank you so much. I'll come back to you on the sub-question on that later. But before that, I've noted you, Dr. Venkatesan. Recently, you delivered a talk on the topic of sustainability, innovation, and our oceans. I think that is covering under the SDG goal 14 of life below water. So maybe, for us, would you like to tell us what is like the life below water? And also, we are disposing so much of plastics that gets into the sea and that impacts the livelihood of the under the sea. So maybe, you can bring in some expertise and your views on that, life below the water.
Yeah, to make you to little bit understand about life below water, how the earth got evolved, it's often said that out of 34 phyla, 33 have come from the sea, ocean. Even in other meticulous way, somebody says that our whatever we see the eye, the vitreous liquid inside has got salt content, salinity equivalent to the ocean. That is the level people say that we see sea through eyes. So that is the level of linkage to that. What is important here is that this life below water is something which is very important. We call it as either you call it as a food web or many other aspects. There are many species which are interconnected to that. Moment you disturb for an activity of what you want to do that, then the whole process gets disturbed. That is the one aspect of life below water. So we have seen the microorganisms during COVID time, like what we can play. It's often said that we know about 99% only microorganisms in the water, but how do you know what is 100%? So this is so complex here is that man knows more about top of the moon than about the bottom of the earth, what is living over there. So the life below water talks about anything below that. Above water is one aspect. SDG 14 clearly talks about any activity you want to do, either you want to do shipping or fishing or any other related to ocean, you need to have this sustainability part. Innovation. Yes, innovation is the only way. How do you bring these things together to understand about that? Innovation is also required for a disaster management, coast guarding of, or safeguarding of the structures and the people living along that. As I said earlier, the population is growing, the disasters, when it happens, the number of people are getting affected is more. What is the solution to that? Innovation is the only way, technology is the only way to come. So this is the one way of looking into that. Next thing about shipping. The shipping sector also produces carbon dioxide. The greenhouse gas emission is more. Now again, the shipping sector is getting into the way back. What is the alternate way? You will be surprised to know that maybe you can Google search a ship called Mayflower. That is autonomous, unattended, innovative ship is moving around. There is a captain on board or the people on board who has got a human mind to think. But whereas the ship need to think about it, something is obstructing, something is coming over there. They are trying to work. The AI and ML tool is used. The days to come, there will be an autonomous ship coming over there. This is what is innovation is other aspect, where we are trying to reduce the emission coming from the ship. So this is one aspect. In every aspect, innovation is required on the component of what we are disturbing the earth, what we are living. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a fantastic view, Dr. Venkatesan. Thank you very much. So Dr. Muthu, I think, the question is that we spoke about 3 R's, and then you also brought in an interesting factor that you are trying to make awareness about this to the field and to the people, and especially to the young people, right? So kids, you mentioned that you have a non-profit organization and through which that you want to create this awareness at the very young age. So I think that is one of the interesting ones. So would you like to just throw us some light on what exactly that you are doing so that others can also replicate and the impact could be much bigger?
Sure. I think we are running out of time. Everybody is anxious. So I'll answer this very short and sweet. Yes, people, those who have access to, school kids. I work with the, parent-teacher student association in the US. I work with the staff. And I also work with the city council, which works with all of the schools as well. So we have access to so many students where we can take this as an opportunity, conduct workshops, events, and then, in US there are kids, those who need actual volunteer hours for high schoolers. So we also ask them to run these kind of events locally at different schools. So with that, we also engage them. While we engage them, we also promote these kind of activities, which anybody can take it and run it. So if you have a non-profit organization, it's much more easier. If not, get associated with school districts and institutions where they can help you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So I think in summary, I think we are also running short of time. So in summary, sustainable living is a journey for us. It's going to be an individual and collective choices of how we want to make an impact to the earth and also to the society and on the natural resources for saving that for the future generations, right? So remember that we only have one earth. And then this sustainability, whatever that you're going through these 2 days and the concept is actually starts from you and me and us, right? So it starts from here. And then we also conduct, as you said, go to the children and the awareness and all that. So it has to be started from the ground, and then we need to start practicing at our homes, at our offices, at everywhere, wherever that, the concepts that we can adapt it so that we can make a conscious but predictable impact to the society to save the natural resources. So with that, I think we are ending our session, and big applause to the technical speakers, Dr. Venkatesan and Dr. Muthu. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for each one of you. It was a wonderful presentation and very insightful discussion. Now, I request Engineer Balamurugan, ITF Indonesian President, to honor Dr. R. Venkatesan. Now, I request Engineer Anand Raj, ITF Kuwait Executive Member, to honor Mr. Soundararajan Satappan. A big round of applause, please. Thank you, sir. Now, I request Engineer Kirupakaran Kanagarajan, ITF UAE HOD of Business Development, to honor Dr. Muthelilan. Thank you.
For the next 25 years, if you don't come to terms with sustainable makeup, you are going to bring down GDP global growth another 5%. If global warming, rising sea level, increasing temperature, animal extinction, if they are going to not moderated, the consequence will be 18 to 20%. There are enough constructive evidence for us to extrapolate this, and we believe this is the defining moment. Now, economic development is at stake. Environment development is at stake. Human development is at stake. Again, social development is at stake. We don't have any business to spoil this planet. And as a generation, we leave a legacy where the coming generation has to pay a price. That's none of our business. That's not what we aspire for. If you love our family, if you love your children and grandchildren, we don't want them to suffer, isn't it? We are on planet lease on Earth. Completely, we have to give up everything and go. If that is, it's not spiritual. Let's understand the reality. If that is a way we have been designed to deliver values, you can only incrementally add value to this planet and walk out and pass it out. A better world than what you have inherited. If that's a mission, we all have to come together. So in terms of economics, if you look at it, it's winning. In terms of overall trade, look at the Trump tariff, as they say. Contentious issues. Globalization has moved to a long way. It created enormous amount of discomfort and the gap between haves and have-nots. Income inequality was a major issue. Now, if you look at the big picture in terms of economics, we are endangering the climate solvency. Climate action is being challenged now. Countries are scaling down their commitments. Bankers are scaling down. Very many institutions, whether they play politics or profession, you have to judge. I'm not here to say. But what you aim at short term is not the ultimate. If you aim at short term, you cultivate flowers. There's a beautiful Oriental saying. If you aim at short term, you cultivate flowers. If you aim at medium term, you cultivate trees. If you aim at eternity, you build humanity. And that's what we should do. The vision should be long term. Every thought becomes action, action becomes habit, habit becomes character, character becomes your destiny. Abdul Kalam. Recognize this challenge. So in terms of economics, trade is a major issue. Gone are the days when the whole world, not long ago, 10 years before, we predicated the environmental should be factored into global trading. That's why carbon trading is more important. If you don't factor environment into the trading mechanism will have lopsided growth. And that's what's precisely happening. It's a balance factor. If you don't balance the trade, then conceptually you are causing a crime. So that's why carbon trading is important. Carbon offsetting is important. When I went to the Gulf states, as I said, when I moved to the next, to Qatar, I went to His Highness, Emir of Qatar. Some of my friends are here. Early 2000, I had a privilege of meeting him. I said, it is time. You have the maximum per capita carbon emission. Why don't we offset by investing in biofuel, biomass? Take lands equivalent to Qatar, 11,984 square kilometers. That's all Qatar, a small country, but they have richest, sources, energy sources, and also per capita wise, the number one in the world. So His Highness was saying, what you're trying to say. I said, buy a land in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa or Amazon, put biofuel, biomass, or vegetable leather, make sure you offset the same amount of carbon you emit. He looked at it nicely and he was joking. Are you trying to get Nobel Prize for me? Now, the point is, the economics is playing a role. Countries who have got short-term focus will not engage in sustainable value creation. You have to come to terms as an individual. As an individual, you can contribute. And precisely, a good person can alone create a good family or good society. A group of good society alone can create a good nation. A group of nations can be a united nation if they are good. Now, the point I'm trying to drive you is economics is challenging in terms of trade. Now, world over, you're seeing import-export anomalies. The geopolitical fraction, the war zones are there. We have, enormous amount of bioreserves have been damaged. If you're living in the Gulf over 40 years, I've seen the geopolitical flash. And we have seen Iran-Iraq war, or again, basically, now off late Ukraine in the last 2 years, 3 years, enormous amount of bioreserves have been damaged. Warfare between Israel and Iran, Israel and Gaza, as we speak. It has destroyed the natural resources. Is it the world we want to inherit to our children? Now, in terms of the geopolitical fragmentation, it's a major issue, it's an ongoing issue. Now, when it comes to investments, it's a fluctuating market. We don't look at money, it's a tool, it's a force, moral force. It's a barometer of individual institutions, countries, or continent of the world. Today we are printing money. Money supply has been articulated without any economic fundamentals. We are causing enormous amount of distortion in terms of integrity. Let me reframe the word, integrity. That's why global financial crisis was focused by quantitative easing, money supply, improving the money supply, increasing the liquidity, the inflate the economy. That is artificial. So in terms of investments, younger generation is very conscious. World over, now the consciousness is there to commit for green economies. That's a solution. That's the only solution. Unless we create a better planet, we are not going to have value creation. Green world, we have to create green continents, we have to create green nations, we have to create, then only green economics will work. Yeah, essentially, our thought of life, every single thought leadership should converge on green mission. That's sustainable value creation. And every part of it, you can correlate it, map it to the business advantage. As a banker, I see trading can be fixed. Solution is within us to articulate individually. Unless you come to terms, you change yourself. You cannot run an institution, as I said at the beginning. Now, trade is impacted, investments is impacted, but convergence is there. The new generation models are recognizing we need to create a better world and better citizenship. So, geopolitical fragmentation apart, we are looking into building green economy, sustainable economy. That's part of the business as well. Business, if you look at it, the big picture, now ESG and CSR are playing a big role. sustainable industry, infrastructure, and innovation as the goal goes, if you look at it objectively, we have better obligations to commit for CSR and ESG as a portion of your revenue. That model is evolving. Institutions who are not focusing on this is getting to degeneration in terms of market capitalization. That's also a fact. So what do? We have to necessarily understand everything is converging in terms of technology. Engineers are here, so I am focusing on technology. In terms of modernization, we have a huge opportunity and change the business model, restructure the business model. I addressed the startup today morning. Enormous amount of entrepreneurship is coming up in terms of climate risk management. It's social innovation, at the same time, purposeful innovation to make sure that's going to create enough job opportunities in terms of green. Green jobs are going to be a major thrust. So, bigger picture is to recognize technology convergence. As engineers, I should say, you have a huge opportunity. So, when it comes to technology management, it is modernization. You know, you're all familiar with the AI wall. It's transforming the business model. Everyone is restructuring the business model. When it comes to recognition of the fact, machine learning, look at a classic example of AI. AI is there in every business model, whether it is Netflix, Amazon, or other countries. Every country now, if you look at bigger picture, Flipkart is playing a role, what Walmart is playing. Everywhere there are Silicon Valleys being created now, where there is a carbon neutral societies are created. The engineers are craftsmen, they can bring the change. Their movement now is just a beginning. பொறியாளர்கள் சங்கம், உலகத்தமிழ் பொறியாளர்கள் சங்கத்தினுடைய முதல் குறிக்கோள் இதுவாகத்தான் இருக்க வேண்டும், sustainability. The big picture is recognizing machine learning plays a big role. Robotic process automation, even bankers are using it for KYC, anti-money laundering, and combating financing terrorism. We use trade finance. We use. So the convergence in every business model through modernization, quantum computing, enormous opportunity to recognize the systemic transformation, whether it's healthcare or otherwise, it's happening. So the combination of all these technologies, whether it's RPL or AI or machine learning, there are enough examples, case studies for us to recognize. We have innovations crafting into changing business model. We are seeing the results of these models. Flipkart, look at the phenomenal growth they have accomplished. UPI, look at the convergence UPI has brought. Look at the digital advantage India is envisioned and what is being practiced today. Arguably, we have a bigger opportunity in this defining moment. Whatever we did not have doesn't matter. What we have now is an opportunity for us to capture this moment and transform it. So technology, we are in a stage where even if a trade war is created, currency war is created, we are in a defining moment in the global phase, and this is going to be a bigger opportunity for India. So modernization plays a big role. Technology and operations playing a bigger role. We have seen, Saudarajan was presenting on Singapore. Singapore is a city which is set in a clarity, absolute vision, and the execution is to professional respect. The infrastructure, all getting into modernization. He showcased it. Now, India as a country has a bigger advantage in terms of transforming it. I've been saying this for the last 40 years, having seen the world over 120 countries. I've said, this century belongs to India. There are very many reasons. We were the pioneer in everything. We are proud of it. Our heritage, our culture, civilization, we are proud of it. But more than ever, we are in a defining moment. The transformation is real, and the digital transformations which we have brought in, and the kind of comprehensive economic partnership agreement we are engaging in trade side is a bigger opportunity. Trade or investment, banking or finance is playing a super role in bridging the connectivity. I am consciously aware Indian currency is not convertible as on date. Having looked at macroeconomic fundamentals, we have bigger opportunity to converge with the modernization, with the younger population. Demographic dividend is clear. They have entrepreneurship as a focus. Now, we are seeing every state is generating multi unicorn phase. And we are also replicating very many Silicon Valley in our part of the world. So the globalization is on, deregulation is on, technology is on, consumerism is also on. Where else you will find the market, which is so big, so huge. The per capita is moving in the value chain. Don't look at in terms of relative, factor in terms of per capita. Look at the magnitude and size of this country, and measure it. You can see very clearly we have bigger opportunity for us to get into the digital market, and everyone has to recognize this market is going to give us enormous amount of opportunity. But at the same time, the focus can only be, every policy decisions we make, we have to focus on sustainability. Then only we can bring the financial inclusion in total. We have. I've been attending annual as well as spring International Monetary Fund meeting and World Bank meeting. India has pulled out more than 275 million people from extreme poverty line. Pulled out. Look at we are the showcase for financial inclusion in the global map. So if you look at the centerpiece of my discussion, the big picture is there are stagnation to the sustainability value creation globally. There are challenges in terms of sustainability. If you look at every part of the world, but India stands in a very unique position where our job creation is a challenge. We recognize this. Our social inequality is a challenge. We understand that. We have investment gaps in terms of infrastructure creation. We understand that. But the acceleration is on. The momentum is built up. The energy levels are changing. The absolute convergence in terms of policy making is happening. The transformation in terms of leadership, visibly showcasing the world, the brand equity. And that's what I'm seeing it. As a non-resident over 40 years, I'm seeing these changes and the challenges are good. So that we can create the younger minds to come to terms and transform personally, professionally, and transform to better value creations. Now, how as engineers, you can play a role. I did three PhDs. I was running technology operations of a bank without knowing engineering. My first job in a bank was to change the front-end system, core system, conversion, the front-end system, core systems, inter-system interface, and start. I learned out of passion, as I said earlier. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is when I was setting up a business model, I was only doing financial engineering. I saw the underlying economic fundamentals. I said, we have to transform towards sustainability and finding more money for small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. I was running a big risk. I mentioned about the story of His Highness way back in early 2003, 2004. When I told them I want to set up a carbon exchange in the energy city in Doha, everyone did not like it, because where we have a convergence of vision, it will work. Where there is a divergence, you have a bigger challenge. Virtually, somebody advised me, you will be thrown out of the country. Be mindful. I looked at the principle-centered values. And I know it's a commercial model. I went and financed water conservation. Nearly $452 million equivalent. 2-point-something billions. Now, this water conservation, because if you look at Qatar as a country, it's a peninsula. You are importing water. And if you don't have a conservation, I looked at the food security. I worked with the government. I worked with small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. I brought in many small and medium-sized entrepreneurs from India. Throughout the Gulf, I had branches. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or Kuwait. Or India also, I had branches. I take only sustainable value creation and work on principle-centered values. I never looked back. I was the longest-serving CEO. Not for my self-adulation, I'm saying this. I was the longest-serving CEO, and I was the highest-paid CEO. Because unless you produce results, you don't get a value for it. You don't sustain your meritocracy either. Sustainability plays a big role. So when I looked at the business model, instead of funding for big-ticket oil or gas companies, not that it's a bad deal, But I thought it's much more meaningful to fund for small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. I nurtured entrepreneurs in my own way, giving them infrastructure, telecom, or giving a space in my own building, in the 26th floor building. And I was giving them funding support, whether seed capital or mezzanine financing, or I was giving the debt. The equity came from development banks. And we have seen these companies are doing so well, most of them. So it is not a charity again. Understand this. The water conservation which I instituted, Vijayan is here, Rajan Vijayan, Tamilcham, Qatar Tamilchandra, President over there. Qatar was into a political blockade by the neighboring countries. It happened on June 5th, September 15th. The infrastructure which we put a seed in 2010, where I said multi-billion was funded, it came very handy. They were not importing water. They were using the conserved water for betterment of the citizens. So these are long-term values. If you aim at short-term, you will not get anything. Even today, if you look at the big picture in terms of economics, green inflation is bound to come. It takes time to set the entrepreneurship going, but the vision is long-term. You cannot make millions, you will only make billions. Because today's world, universal models are converging. Universal models you can articulate. If you do it in one market, you can replicate in any market. And that's what is happening. That's what has happened to exponential companies like Amazon or Netflix. Why not we? We can innovate. We are innovating. We are innovating. Waste to value, it's happening. Now, if you look at the big picture, Tamil Nadu itself, look at the entrepreneurship which is mushrooming. We are second to none out of the top-ranking performing states. We are one of the best, no question. Now, when it comes to sustainable development, especially green energy, solar or wind, this is the place to work. Look at the innovation IIT GUI has created. Aqua Save as enlisting. Ather Energy. So whether it's transportation or agricultural practice, things are changing. In Tamil Nadu, it is changing. In India, it is changing. Globally, it is changing. There are opportunities that are endless. If you look at every piece of the development in global model, you can replicate. Ideas makes billions. And that's what I'm witnessing. Takachar, a Kenyan and India combined business model, has produced enormous amount of impact. What do? They take the agricultural waste and then convert into biofuel and fertilizers. It's happening. It's all happening. And we are a party to it. The rare earth minerals you don't require. There are companies which are proving it, Char Technologies. Waste to value, there are enough examples. There is people capturing the CO2 to modular devices, put it under the ground, and they produce enormous amount of value. So, and last week I was attending in Dubai. The Dubai government was organizing the Waste to Value conference. I was showcasing whatever I've seen in the Gulf. Some of them it's worth talking about it. If you look at the municipal waste, they have transformed it. By 2027, there will not be any landfills. Landfill, no more landfills. These are all converted into energies, value, real value, money value. That's what you should aim at. Every mind, with the change in face of the world, has to recognize there is no fixed income for anyone anymore. There's no fixed job for anyone. It's a hybrid model, time sharing. If you innovate, individuals become institutions. Make no mistakes. You are an institution. You have the inner universe, and you can create an external value for it, money for it. You can add society value as well. That's a social risk management. And I have seen, there will be no landfills in Dubai by 2027. 2050, of course, net zero committed, India is committed 2070. Now, the food waste in the hotels, that's being transformed. And the kind of electricity they generate out of the, or power they generate on account of the waste, 150,000. One company I'm talking about, I don't want to be specific in name, 150,000 households they are supplying electricity. One builder, through developers, they are doing it an extraordinary momentum. Water is transformed, wastewater is transformed, Vertical farming is created. It's on the building side. Green building is evolving. So the focus should be, my point to you is the focus should be, I can enlist the case studies which I have witnessed, I practiced in the banking side itself. Investments or lending, I was lending. I gave you a few examples. Now, there is an enormous opportunity, but the challenge is real. Again, Rajan knows and many of my Qatari friends knows. In 2004 to 2007, I had a property in London. So I went to Hamlet Toys in Regent Streets. I picked up an alligator and python. Global warming, climate change. I was wearing a cap like this. And I was showcasing a technical presentation, nearly 90 minutes. I used to talk about economics, then bilateral or multilateral economics, and then focus on global warming and climate change. Now, throughout the world, I did it almost around 23 countries I did at the time. Almost 6 continents I covered. I went to IMF in 2007, and I presented a paper on green banking that's become my research content for doctorates. So people ask me, why you're a banker, CEO of a bank, wearing this joker dress and carrying the python and alligator? What are you trying to do? And I was not bothered about what people will think. I don't care, because as long as if I administer principle-centered value, I have dignity within for what I'm doing, I was not worried about it. And that's what it is. The change starts with you. The change starts with you, gentlemen. You have to necessarily understand. When I went to even one presentation, I started in Nagoya in Japan. I ended up in Washington in 2007, October. There was an article questioning my wisdom, questioning my integrity. I was not bothered. The reason is it was very offensive. Only with functional maturity, a deep dive into spiritual connection, I said, it's nonsense what they are interpreting. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is to understand, in a place where there is a maximum per capita carbon emission, mind you, Qatar is oil, gas, petrochemicals. And I was a public servant. Yes. I'm saying this because the change has to start from you as an individual. The funding will come. Funding will come. I mean, I looked at the various funding profiles around the world. I looked at how the money is flowing. Green investments, if you look at it, compared to last year, it's moving up in the value chain. It is moving up. The positive side of the reflection is what I want to say and then conclude. Let's understand, economics is important. Economics is more important. That's why I brought trade, investment banking, and finance. And green finance is happening. Green finance is an ethical finance. Again, it's a profitable finance. That's what I'm saying. See, there are people who are scaling down everything. So no, don't give subsidies, don't do this. I'm not talking about those short-sighted focus. When you look at it with the long term, India has accomplished, classic example, we are committed for 175 gigawatt of renewable energy. We got it. In 2015, we committed, we accomplished. We are now committing to 500 gigawatt. We are going to deliver it in 2030. With this kind of energy levels which we are seeing now, the young entrepreneur's mindset is completely transforming. They want to protect this planet. And that's a very positive development. Now, big picture is the green investments is world over mushrooming. Startups, if you look at the public-private partnership model which we are seeing everywhere, all these cannot be done by individual alone. You have the willingness to do, ability to do, and at the same time we have to converge and collaborate. And that's a model everywhere. Collaboration is the name of the key. If you understand, even Tamil Nadu, at a state national level, we have funds of funds. We have global flow of investments for green, right from various authorities. Local authorities are also, Tamil Nadu, if you look at it, there are many cases I can enlist. So this is all happening in positive spirit. With that perspective, if you focus on it, I call the young entrepreneurs, come to terms. Dream big. It's your wall. You have a lot at stake. If you look at the young entrepreneurs, younger minds, not only in India, younger population constitute nearly, 16% of the global population, less than 30. And this is a huge resource. And if they are conscious of sustainable development, then that's value creation of this planet will be different. This is a beautiful world. Enormous amount of opportunity every day exists. Every day is inspirational, every day is motivational, every day is challenging, every day is also full of opportunities. But that's what we should relish. We should be energetic enough to, enthusiastic enough to motivate all these young entrepreneurs, engineers, to come to terms and make a purposeful living out of it, and making sure we build a planet which is better than what we have inherited. We leave a legacy better than what we have inherited. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, let me welcome Dr. Sivadanu Pillai, the scientist and former honorary distinguished professor at Indian Space Research Organization. Let's give a big round of applause, please. Dr. A. Sivadanu Pillai is known as father of BrahMos missile, and he is a distinguished scientist and former ISRO honorary professor.
Slide. Good evening. We have now a few audience left for the last lecture. So thank you, ITF, for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. You have traveled from many countries, particularly from the Middle East, and to see that we all unite together to make Tamil Nadu a prosperous state. Today, if you look at the contribution of Tamil Nadu to India, it is two things. One is that we generate high level of brain power. The Tamil brain is the most brilliant brain in the world. So we are now there all over the world. And that contribution to Tamil Nadu is a very big thing. To the India also it's a big thing. Second thing is economy. Today India's prosperous status of economic situation, we are fourth, the whole economy-wise, GDP, the whole world we are fourth. USA, China, Germany and India. And very soon we are going to become the third economy. So such a development is possible only by the contribution of our people in the industry and also in supporting other nations and then bring back the money to the country. That's what we have done. This ITF is a very big organization, world level, and the success of the ITF is the united action by all the people who speak Tamil. Now, I thought that to sustainability I can talk so much, but I thought that you heard enough on the sustainability, so I thought, what is the opportunity we have? So my topic is aerospace and defense, the two areas where I worked the last 50 years. I worked in ISRO and DRDO and worked in major projects. So I thought I should bring in some of the aspects which will help this population, Tamil population, particularly to Tamil Nadu. Change. Hello? You have the changer, slide changer? No? Okay. Can you go back? Okay. So if you look at India, we have progressed a lot. From 1947 to 2047, these are 100 years of plot. Green revolution we started when the people were starving for food. Today we are making more than 300 million tons of food grains. We are the second largest in the world in rice and wheat production. We are the largest producer of milk in the world. Power, we are making a big change to the renewable energy. Nearly 100 gigawatt of wind energy and 200 gigawatt of solar. That's our target for 2047. And also we are pumping a lot of money on the green hydrogen, 19,000 crore for the hydrogen mission. Nuclear, we are building 12 more reactors, and today we are 7,380, and 2 of the reactors are functioning in Kudangulam, giving power to Tamil Nadu. 60% power is coming here. And we are building 4 more reactors. That means Tamil Nadu will not have any problem of power, because most of the power will be given from the 6 reactors to Tamil Nadu. Then look at the development in precision farming. Precision farming is going to help us to make the productivity to increase so that we can make 500 million tons of food grains. Will it work, this one? Go back. Okay. Now for the supercomputer, we were struggling for supercomputer once. Nobody wanted to give it to us, but today we are making petaflop computers, and we are on the job of making quantum computing. 6 organizations are working in India to make quantum computer. And in the communication, we are working on the 5G national network, which is going to be a very big effort, which is put forward by IIT, and it is going to come very soon. And the microprocessor, we have developed the microprocessor we are going to produce. Electronics industries are going to come in a big way in India. There are a lot of funding is going to come. ITITS, $290 billion came last year. So it's a major revenue for our economic development. Industry 5.0 is being pushed now, and that is mainly the aim is to bring sustainability along with all the technologies which have come in Industry 4.0. Electric vehicles we are moving. So these are all related to our net zero carbon the actions. Pharma, we are one of the 4 leading countries in the world to take up the pharma production. In defense, if you look at it, we have got the nuclear submarine Arihant, which is a very important effort which has been made. And we are now going for a number of the nuclear-based submarines for us, which will be weaponized. And advanced medium combat aircraft, AMCA. This is going to be the stealth aircraft for India. Already development has started. And this is a very big program which is being done now. We have got a lot of things to contribute. LCA Mark 1 and Mark 2 is also coming in that. Then you have got the missiles, which are called strategic missiles, Prithvi, Agni, that type of missiles. Then space, you have seen the top, you see the space. We are now very rare achievement we have made to go to the southern part of the moon where water bodies are there. And then we are now working on kinetic weapon system. We have used the laser weapon in the Operation Sindoor to destroy the drones which came. Hypersonic is our next attempt. We are going for supersonic to hypersonic, and then the hypersonic plane, so that the transport, future transport can be in the hypersonic speed. And then we are also developing the hypersonic missile, which can be, reused. There's a new concept which we are doing, like a Sudarshan Chakra, it can come back to us. Ultimately, at 2047, our aim is to have the factory on the moon. Moon is a very important resource for us, and we are aiming to do that. So now the whole thing started with Baba, who thought that India should become a strong country. We cannot accept the 5 countries who are having the veto power and sitting in the Security Council and dominating the world. We have to have a say. So that's why we need to have strength. Strength respects strength. So we have to have a strong foundation we have to make. So he did that with the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. He started to develop this technology, basic technologies. But it has now moved over to nuclear power generation using uranium, and we are now working on thorium in Kalpakkam. That is in Tamil Nadu. If you take the Kalpakkam plant, they have made the first prototype to generate 500 megawatt of power using thorium. So that is a bigger thing, because India has got 1/4 of the world thorium. So we may have to use that thorium. Third important direction which Baba gave was go for fusion technology. We have done a small tokamak and trying to generate the plasma at high temperature, but that is not sufficient. So we have joined with other nations to make a new super thermoelectric reactor, 500 megawatt, with fusion technology. So like this, the way we are doing in the nuclear technology gave the base for our space and defense. So this is the nuclear reactor called ITER, International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, 500 megawatt, which is being assembled at France. But with the 7 nations' participation, we are also contributing in a big way in this main structure, vacuum vessels. That's all our contribution. So the idea is to acquire the total knowledge of fusion technology by 2030. Space, the vision of Sarabhai, who came from atomic energy, he started the space program, and his vision was to make the space program, for the use of the common people. He started the development. First, he started the station at Tumba, near Trivandrum, which is the only place where the magnetic equator is passing through. So that made all other countries to come to India to do the launches, to understand the atmosphere and measure very accurately. Then subsequently thought we should make our own launch vehicle, our own satellite, our own space station, all done by Sarabhai. And Satish Dhawan followed him. He nurtured the whole thing and directed all the missions. And today what we see ISRO is all because of these 2 people. Today we have got remote sensing satellites, communication satellites, navigation, and we are having programs for the planetary studies. All these things are happening, and we have become self-reliant, are one of the 4 in the world. So because we have grown to that extent, we are now in the markets. And this is the internet satellites for UK, OneWeb series. 72 satellites were launched by us for them. Totally 433 foreign satellites were launched for 36 countries by ISRO. So today there's a huge market coming up in small satellites, nearly $15 billion per year. So ISRO is targeting that we should take a big share out of that. So they have developed a small rocket called SSLV to focus on that market.
India has become the first country in the world to reach Mars in its
sound
first
good.
attempt and become the first country in the world to successfully land a spacecraft on South Pole of the Moon. And did you know that India has created an incredible record by successfully launching 104 satellites by a single rocket?
So now we are on the moon, and we were the first to find out the hydroxyl particle, that is the water particles. And now the south zone is a very important place which nobody has reached, and all of them failed in their rocket landing. And India is the first country to land the southern side. So that's a very interesting place where we have to go. Mission was managed very nicely, and we are having a big program to do that. Why we are interested on the moon is, moon has got millions of tons of helium-3. This helium-3 has been, for billions of years, the action of solar wind has released high energy particles, including helium-3, which has accumulated on the moon in the absence of the atmosphere. So this, the sample which has been brought by the astronauts, American, they have found out these particles, and then they tried out, it was giving energy 100 times better than uranium and non-radioactive. So this is going to be a very big resource for the future. When we talk about sustainability, this is going to be a very important thing, because fusion energy is very important. This will be used for the fusion reactor. So that is why we are interested to have the factory on the moon. And 2047 we are there, and we'll have our launch pad there. We will mine the particles with the dust, and from that we'll extract helium-3 and then bottle them. The yellow is the bottle, and then we'll launch from there to bring it here, and we'll make it, and we'll have the factories which are there, Kalpakkam, and many other places here. We will be making our reactors and then make it. So that will be a big energy source for us. So the human space program is a very important program. The Shukla who went there is one of the important milestones we have achieved. Now, next we are trying to see that from next year onwards, we are getting into the Indians in space. If you look at the Earth resource satellites which have been launched by us, number of them launched by India, very important launch happened on 30th July this year. This is called NISAR. NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar. This satellite is the heaviest satellite, 2,800 kilogram for mapping the Earth. And it works in synthetic aperture radar. By that means for any weather, any odd condition, we will be able to get the data of the Earth. That is going to be a very, very important program. And this is the heaviest Earth resource satellite ever launched. Even NASA has not launched equal to that. So this is a very important program which is going to give a big input for us on the Earth. So what we do with that? So the startups have come. There's a startup called SatSure, started in Bangalore. They put a station, ground station, in the field. The field was given by Andhra Pradesh. And they put that on, they received the images from these different satellites. There are so many satellites are there, so the mapping satellites. They have taken, particularly from Cartosat. And they are studying the soil, they are studying the seed selection, crop management, everything. They use AI, they use drone, they want to use robotic for the field management, and the complete thing is going to be a AI-based solution for precision farming. And with one mobile phone, they want to manage 10 acres of land at a time without using any people. This is the objective of that. They are on the move. So in the ISRO, when they are launching, if you see that SSLV, which I told you, or PSLV, they launch from Sriharikota, and they have to do it in the pole. Polar launch means pole to pole. If they have to do it, they have to do a dog-leg maneuver, because they have to avoid Sri Lanka. So they have to go around, because you can't overfly a land. So because of that, they lose the payload. If we can put 1,500 kg, it will be only 1,200 kg you can put. 300 kg is a loss. Per kg is $20,000 per kg. That is the cost. They lose it. So that is why they wanted a station. And Kulasekhara Patna, so Tamil Nadu gets an opportunity here. Kulasegarapatna, that is there, is going to come, a station is already being built. This station will be operational in another 2 years, from where if you launch, you can launch directly. That means 30% gain you will get in the, in the payload device. So this is getting ready. And if you see in the southern part of Tamil Nadu, we are having a place called Mahendragiri, where all the liquid stages are built. We have talked about cryogenic technology, which is a very important technology. The whole development took place, and they make all the assembly of these engines in the stage, and also do all the testing. When see the testers testing, all they do it. It's a wonderful facility. That is also in Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu has got a very unique facilities are being set up in developing launch systems, then integrated systems, and as well as the launching. So it's going to be the southern side of Tamil Nadu is going to be very active in the space program. That means many other industries will also develop. Once you have a bigger station coming up, auxiliary industries, many industries will come. So that is the aim, is to develop a space-based Tamil Nadu, aerospace. Because we have got, in Bangalore, we have got a big space activities, industries are there. Tamil Nadu doesn't have equal to that. Hyderabad is another big place. So if you want to develop Tamil Nadu in a big way, the opportunity comes here, where you can think of big industries around that place. So the program today, if you look at the program, where are we leading to? Chandrayaan program, we have done 3, where we landed in the South Pole. So 4 is we are going there again, and then they are taking the material and bringing back the material for studying the samples for all the minerals which are available. So then 5 is going to be a collaboration between India and Japan, where again the studies are going to be relevant in terms of analysis of the land and resource. And 6 and 7, they are going to be very interesting thing. That is, not only that, we will be having some activities will start. So in the meantime, through Gaganyaan, that's the second line, Gaganyaan, we are now moving to a station, like International Space Station. India is going to have a space station to do a zero-G experiments, and our astronauts, Indian astronauts, are going to be in space. This will be 400-kilometer altitude, they will be there. And then 2040, we are going to send our Indians will be landing on the moon, 2040. And 2047, we will be working there. 2047 is our industry. So this is the profile. And for that, we need to make the top one, the launches. The launch vehicle today is not that efficient. So we have taken 40 days to reach the moon, but we have to do it in 4 days. So to reach such a thing, like what Saturn V has put the American on the 4th day they have landed. So we also have to do that. So we are building up very big launch vehicles now, equal to that, so that 4 days we can reach the moon. There are many other programs to study. Mars 2 is coming. Then we want to study the other Venus and other systems. So many programs are there, but these are the key major programs which will have an impact in the whole development of the space technology. And Tamil Nadu should look at that. They have no vision. Problem is Tamil Nadu government does not have a vision. And Andhra Pradesh, Chandrababu Naidu has started the vision, and he has taken the ex-chairman of ISRO as his advisor. But the Bangalore, Karnataka has announced space policy, and there's a big space vision they have given. So Tamil Nadu also, because of the opportunities are there, they must come out with a proper vision. Then only you can develop the people. We can be proud to say that today ISRO, most of the ISRO leaders are Tamil people. But at the same time, you have to build them more. So that means aerospace activities, the institutions, in many places have to come. That government has to have a policy, which is not there. Now look at this space. Why the space is important is, young people are interested to get into space. Today, more than 400 startups have come on space activities, space and defense activities. Many people are doing not only drones. See, in Chennai, IIT has started Agnikul. Agnikul is a startup and they have made a launch vehicle and they are the first people to make a 3D printed engine and made a flight. And that was semi-cryogenic. Even ISRO has not done, they have done it. So startup young people, they can do it very fast. So we have to move that force to make that, if you really want Tamil Nadu to go up, that's what is necessary for the policymakers. Then Hyderabad, there's one sky route, they have also launched. They are based on solid propellant, these people are on the semi-cryogenic based. So both are now competing. Similarly, there are many other startups are there, but for satellites, we have seen number of things. Because they want to build satellites for other countries. One of the companies in Bangalore, they have got orders from abroad, from America, they have got the orders for building satellites here. They are building it in Bangalore for supplying to them. So many opportunities are there, and these young guys are very pushy. They go there and get the markets. So that is what is required, and we have to encourage them. So today, if you look at this, India has got more than 178,000 startups have come now today, as on today. And there's a need for Tamil Nadu to push the startups. They have got a startup arrangement is there, but they are third. They are not first, but they have to push it further. That's what is required in the startups. But many things are happening in the country today. The startup scheme, skill development, and many other opportunities are coming. Unicorns are coming, but Tamil Nadu is lagging in that.
Population below the age of 25 years, and this young
The
force is
volume
starting
good
their
ipa.
business, due to which India has become the world's largest and fastest growing startup ecosystem.
I think you heard that. So the young population is today is highly energetic, which we must use that. Now in the aerospace program, drones of course dominating now. And another important thing is these combat aircrafts. We want to take a big lead in the combat aircrafts. And we want to make our own engine also in this. Initially it will be a collaborative thing, but we will be ultimately successful in this program. So this is also a major thing going to come. Here also there's a good opportunity to contribute. The Coimbatore-based industries are very much keen in this program. So drones, and then we have got the laser weapons to defeat the drones, all have been made. And this technology is also developed by IIT. They are doing the work on the laser, high power laser. So then this Agni program, you know about it. So it's nothing, I don't want to talk much on that. But what I want to talk is, when I talk about the young people, this lecture should have been arranged when the students are there. Now I am talking to old people, and young people are not there. No? So, okay. So what they happened is, when we were struggling to get a supercomputer for doing our analysis, because we are going for computational fluid dynamics, which needed complete analysis of the grid points. Each grid point analysis was taking 9 hours, and we have got 100,000 grid points in each configuration. There are hundreds of configurations to decide which one to choose. So there's a big requirement for supercomputing, which we wanted to develop. So the young people, Dr. Kalam gave the job to 14 young people to develop a computer. They made it in 2 years. And they made it such a way, the computer which they have developed was 20 times faster than the Cray XMB, which was refused to us by the US. So the young minds take challenges. So you have to use that force, not for political purpose, for development purpose. So this is one thing which we are expecting the satellites to be weaponized by our so-called big powers. So we need to defeat them. So we have made a missile which can go to space and finish the satellites. So this is one program which we have started to think about becoming world number 1. In space, we are 4 in the world now. And if you take the Agni class of missiles, we are again 5, 6 like that. And so we needed number one position. That is why we started this program. This is to develop the fastest supersonic cruise missile in the world. So this program started, and we thought that we needed full support from the Russians for the engine. The supersonic engine was given by the Russians. And we made the guidance, control, and the onboard computer, all other things, distributed 50-50%, and contribution was 50.5 and 49.5. 50.5 is to make a private company out of government funding. If it is 51, it's government. So deliberately we made it 50.5 to see that we are a private company to do things faster so that the procedures and bureaucrats don't control. So this joint design, development, manufacture and mine to market, initially we thought we should make it for the world market. And this is for all platforms, a ship, mobile, under the sea, or airplane, any platform you can put this missile. Any type of trajectory it can take, the top one is the trajectory. It can fly 10 meters, can fly 1 kilometer or 15 kilometer. It can go and hit a supersonic dive it can make to the militants who are there behind the hill. It can hit any targets on the sea or land, anywhere. And it can be launched from snow mountains or desert or tropical or sea, any conditions. BrahMos is the only operational supersonic cruise missile in sea, land and air, the whole world. And even now, after we have established it, the America or China, they don't have equal to that. So this is the sea video not playing. Oh, this is the air-launched missile. This is Andaman, 300 kilometers away. We have put a target in Nicobar Islands. So initially it goes in the booster mode, gets the velocity. After this, middle of these 2 points it should hit. This you are seeing the 2 red points, they are camera stations. It should hit at the middle. And this is without warhead. Warhead is not there. If I put warhead, the island will not be there. So we cannot put that. It's our own island. So if you compare with the US, we are 3 times faster. That means our energy is half mv squared. That is 9 times hit energy we are giving. And it's not defeatable. Every 3 seconds a missile can go. So we are number 1. This precision attack of BrahMos missiles proved in the Operation Sindoor also it is proved. So the whole principle is, can we leapfrog? So what I will advise to Tamil Nadu is, think of leapfrog technologies which can put Tamil Nadu up. That's what is required to be done. There should be an intelligent groups who should work on that. So mind to market, because market is very important for the future to economic development, establish brands so that you can compete. Now, this project, the innovation is speed, precision and power, because we thought about the future war. The leadership is thinking ahead and managing complexities because 2 countries are involved with a different language, different aspirations, different technology standards, all those things. Then creativity is a novel JV concept, 1 step higher than the state-of-the-art technology. Best practices were used, competence built up in the country today. Today, all the industries who have worked with us today, they have got the latest technology of making a missile. And we are networked with all the stakeholders and all the technology partners. So this public-private partnership which we have started, it has made everything easier and it has given the product at the very earliest time. So investment was $300 million. We already completed business of $9 billion. And that is a highly demanded product by the Indian Armed Force and by other countries. It's a global leader in the world. So now the military has announced 15-year profile for what they are looking for. So this I am showing to Tamil Nadu. Capture what you can take maximum. So this is all the list they have given, what you can do army. We have got ordnance factories, we have got CVRD, we have got so many systems are there here who can make. Then L&T type of industries are in Coimbatore. So many small industries are there, Ambattur, all places we have. So generate that spirit of contributing to the country. That's what is needed to be done. So that is why there's a policy required from Tamil Nadu. They have to come out, forget about all the political things, come out with a policy to drive this type of opportunities. So you can get some $100 billion businesses just looking at Tamil Nadu, but they should utilize that. So we are now moving to Industry 4.0 to 5.0, which I told you. So AI is going to play a very important role take care of all the other technologies. Robot will control all the operations are going to be controlled, even the humanoids, that is soldiers, robotic surgery, that means robot will be doing the surgery, eliminating the doctor, that type of thing. And agriculture, space, they are going to dominate. So many things are happening with the robotic coming in. AI is going to rule. There's a AGI which is going to come now. Beyond AI, beyond generative AI, there's a new thing has come, AGI, which is almost equal to our brain operations. So that is the type of development happening. So the things are going to be very, very fast and can be done very effectively. So society is, because of that, society is moving. When Industry 5.0 comes, society is also moving from information society to super smart society. So this is what is the next level of society. The people today, the young children whom you are seeing, they're already smart, but they will become super smart in another 5 years' time. So for all these things, we should build the design and knowledge capability within us, which can give the better value addition as well as the quality of a product. So in Tamil Nadu, I would suggest that they should make a aerospace defense industry complex, which should take care of all the requirements. You form aero parts, form the skills of the auto industry, which the auto industry is a dominant one in Tamil Nadu. They utilize their capability for making it highly skilled people. UAV, civil aircraft, weapons, production, and maintenance, because ordnance factories are there. Not only here, Trichy and other places is there. We must use them, expand them in a big way. Existing IT, we have done well. IT complexes, you can see, many have come. They should be used for cyber-physical systems. And titanium, thorium, all are available. We are not utilizing. So we must find out these things, because titanium is a very important component for aerospace industry. Thorium is required for power generation. World-class research facilities to be tapped for industrial application. And an alternate to Bangalore, they should think. They should give a challenge. More than Bangalore will make Chennai or Coimbatore or any other place or different place, they should make it. So unless they build such a big complexes, they are not going to be part of the development in the future, because future is here. So we have talked about so much on the climate change and the problems. 2100, Chennai will be in water. 2100. So that is the type of problem which we are facing now. 51 billion tons of carbon dioxide. 51 billion tons of carbon dioxide is being generated by the world today. So we have to find a solution. Many people talked about it, so I am not going to the detail. But there are many methods are there, how to do the sustainability methods are there. So this is very important. There's one recent finding is one plant called diatoms, which if you spread on the sea, it will absorb the carbon dioxide. It's a very effective thing which they have, laboratory level they have made. We should take care of that and use that. And our power stations, all our 11 power stations Tamil Nadu has got, all are coal-based. So and they are generating more carbon dioxide today. Our cement plant, steel plant, everywhere you see carbon dioxide is coming. So that action is required. I'm not seeing that action. So there are many green hydrogen, so many missions are there. Each one, Kerala has announced Hydrogen Valley. Andhra Pradesh has announced Quantum Valley. Which valley you are going to start in Tamil Nadu? So you think of that. So now power generation. Why not we put a satellite up and generate power? This is called solar power satellite. Instead of terrestrial work on depending on the sun's availability and monsoon, all problems are there. You put a satellite, it will generate 24% power. That's the easiest thing. We should work on that. That project should be mooted from this state. So India has already announced the climate action plan. So Tamil Nadu should raise an action plan. Because they are part of India, they should say, before India becomes climate, solve the problem of CO2, we will solve the problem. They should say that. So energy security, I talked about helium-3 and solar power satellites, which are very important. Ocean, thermal energy is another one. Green hydrogen, then the regular ones which we have got. So India has got many things to do, but Tamil Nadu has got so many opportunities to do that. But they should capture that. This is my request to Tamil Nadu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sivadana Pillai. Now, let me ask Engineer Silambarasan, ITF UAE HOD of Technical and Innovation, to honor Dr. Sivadana Pillai. Please, let's give a big round of applause, please. Let me call upon ITF Qatar President, Engineer Karthik Kadapa, and ITF Qatar Board of Governance, Engineer Rajan Vijayan on the stage, please. So Dr. Sitaraman sir on the stage.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been quite a long but an eventful day. We feel that the conference is quite successful. The success of a day's conference is normally measured by the strength of the last event and the enthusiasm with which the attendees had been. With that feedback, I think we are quite successful in today's event. Looking forward to see you all tomorrow. The event starts at about 10 o'clock. Registration, of course, starts at 9 o'clock. Deputy CM, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Sri Udayanidhi Stalin will be inaugurating the day's event. Looking forward to meet you all. Thank you all. Request members of the Executive Committee of ITEF remain here. We'll have a quick wrap-up of the day's developments and then prepare for tomorrow. Thank you.